Thanks everybody for your patience. Okay. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for returning. For those of you who were on this morning's Dharma Family or Sunday Dharma service. My name is Reverend Candace Shibata, and it's March 28th, 2021. And we are here for our Stockton Buddhist Women's Association Donna Day service. And we're so fortunate to have our guest speaker, Koichi Mizushima Sensei from the Sacramento Buddhist Church, Batsuin, as our guest speaker. And I'll go ahead and give a nice introduction before his Dharma message, but we want to thank him for taking time out of his very busy schedule, actually kind of last minute. And we really look forward to hearing him this morning. And again, so today is our Stockton Buddhist Women's Association Donna Day service. And Donna is one of the core teachings too, I think, that we teach here at the temple in our everyday Buddhist lives, especially for our young children as they enter the temple. And I think for everybody, when you are able to come to the temple, and one of those very kind acts of Dana is even just placing whatever form of gratitude, if it's coins or dollar bills or whatever you feel in your heart to be able to give to the temple in regards to your appreciation to hear the Dharma. So that's, I think, something that was instilled in me as a young person coming to the temple. And I'd always be very, very happy to be able to give my Dana, to show my selfless giving to the temple. And I think when I was young, it might have been 25 cents or 50 cents. And I think Tiffany, my sister, and I would be very excited to be able to put in our quarters to the basket to show our Dana. And so in regards to the Stockton BWA, and I believe all Buddhist women's associations, they really do concentrate on this act of Dana, selfless giving, either every month or with services that they do in dedication to different members or different members of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, and of course, just through kind acts that they do as an organization. And so this is what this service does. It really allows us to turn our hearts and minds to this selfless giving in our own lives as well. So we'll start this morning's service with opening meditation and Nambutsu. And we are so fortunate to always have Darlene Bagshaw's beautiful videos for our opening meditation. So without further ado, Darlene. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amidabutsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amidabutsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namandats. 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 Thank you, darling, for that beautiful slideshow. And of course, some of our Dharma friends from the SBWA, of course, we can't see all of you today, and some of our members who have passed away, we continue to keep them in our thoughts as well. So we'll continue the service with Sambujo. And Sambujo is a hymn called Three Respectful Callings. And we call upon Amida Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, and the Buddhas of the 10 directions to be present today. And this will be followed by the Hyobyakumon, or dedication of this service, declaring our purpose of gathering together. So I'd like to share my screen so that I welcome you to chant along with me for Sambujo. And this, hopefully you can see it. As three respectful callings. And again, you're in the comforts of your own home, so please join me in chanting Sambujo, which will be followed by the dedication. Today, on this occasion of the Stockton Buddhist Women's Association Donna Day Service, the members of the Buddhist Church of Stockton have gathered here before the decorated altar, to hear and receive the Buddhist teachings, and to express our gratitude to the infinite wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. At this time, please join me in the sutra chanting of Jusege, which is translated as 3 sacred vows. Kagun Chosegan Hishima Jodo Shigan Fumanzok Seifu Joshogak Kaomuryoko Fui Daiseshu Busai Shobingum Seifu Joshogak Gashi Jobutsudo Myosho Chojipo Gukyomi Shomon Seifu Joshogak Ryokujin Shonen Joei Shubonyo Shigumu Jodo Isho Tenishi Chimiki and Daiko Fushomu Saido Shoujo Sankumyo Kosai Shu Yakunan Kaihi Chiegen Meshi Komon Heisoku Shoakudo Tsudatsu Zenshumon Kosojo Manzo Iyodo Jipo Ichigatsu Shujuki Tenkon Pugen Ishu Kaihozo Kosei Kudokuho Chodai Shuchu Seppo Shishiku Kuyoi Saibutsu Kusoku Shutokuhon Kane Shitsujoman Tokui Sangayo Yobutsu Mugechi Tsudatsumi Fusho Gangaku Edik Toshi Saisho Son Shiganya Kokan Taisei no Kando Koku Shoteni Torchimyoken Namandabu 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 Ani Shikudoku Pyodo sei sai Dohon modai Ishin Audio Ako. Namandavats, 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 namandavats. Thank you so much for chanting at home with me. Please join me in the reading of the three treasures. Please join me in Gasho. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandats, 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 namandats. Thank you so much for reading the three treasures with me at home. It's my pleasure to be able to introduce our guest speaker for today. And Koichi Mizushima Sensei and I, we go back a long, long ways. I think he was probably one of my first Dharma friends from Sacramento, who I had met, and because of him, felt very, very welcomed at Sacramento, and had a nice long history attending different events and services at the Sacramento Betsuin. And over this time as well, have been able to call Koichi not only my colleague, but my dear friend. And so I'm so grateful that he's with us today, especially on such short notice, as Reverend Diana Thompson unfortunately wasn't able to attend this service. But Koichi Sensei has been able to step in right away and always is offering his kind support to me. So I always appreciate that. So thank you so much, Sensei, for being with us today. So Koichi Sensei, he is married to Janet, and they have one daughter, Ellie. And I don't know if either maybe our temple members or our temple board, or especially those of you who are on BCA different committees and things, you might know that Koichi and Ellie, they are beautiful singers, and they come from a beautiful family of musicians, and they feature so many different wonderful songs on YouTube. So check them out as well on YouTube. But Koichi Sensei has a long history with the Sacramento Betsuin, as I mentioned, and he also had been very, very involved with their Junior Young Buddhist Association, was an advisor since 1998, had become a minister's assistant in 2003, and he taught a first grade Dharma school from 1997 to 2003. And just some personal things about Koichi Sensei. He graduated from UC Davis in management economics, and he put that degree to great use as he owned Komon Sushi. It's a restaurant in Sacramento, and he owned the restaurant from 1998 to 2013. And we're so fortunate on the Buddhist Churches of America site to have Koichi join the the is it Center for Buddhist Education Department, huh, as the youth coordinator. And he brings just a wonderful enthusiasm to create all of these wonderful programs for the youth, as we know that they are the future of BCA. And so I think because of him, it really attracts all these young individuals to many of the different events that the Center for Buddhist Education puts on for them. And Koichi Sensei, he loves watching movies, enjoys music, and singing with his daughter, as I mentioned, and playing cards when there's time. And I know BCA is keeping him quite busy, so we really appreciate him coming and speaking on behalf of Diana Thompson Sensei and sharing his thoughts and wisdom about our BWA Donna Day service. So without further ado, Koichi Mizushima Sensei, thank you so much.
Reverend Candace, thank you so much for that very, very, very nice introduction. I am also so grateful to call you such a wonderful Dharma friend for so many years. And it all began at Stockton Buddhist Temple. So it's so wonderful to see you back at the Stockton Temple again. And even in watching Darlene's slides, it was so nice to just see like the social hall and everybody sitting at the tables. I haven't been to Stockton in such a long time. I think the last time I got to speak there was for the, I think we had a district conference, and I spoke there with, I think it was Mike Inoue. So it was so nice to see those images of the Stockton Temple. It really makes us miss Temple even more. So good morning, everyone. It is actually my wonderful honor to be your BWA Donna Day speaker here today. Stockton does feel like a second home to me as well. I feel very at home at Stockton, and I feel so welcome at our Northern California sister temples. And it's wonderful to see so many of you whom I know. And as we all know, there is so much going on in the world right now. And I'm sure we've all talked about this already at length. There are so many terrible things happening in the world right now, let alone we are all in the middle of a pandemic. And this month in particular is important because it does mark the 1 year point, right? It's been over 1 full year that the entire world has been enduring this pandemic together. And it's been difficult, yes, been very, very difficult. People have lost a lot. People have suffered a lot. And as we mark these dates on our calendar, as we mark this 1 year, I can tell it takes its toll on us, doesn't it? I mean, it starts to wear on us, and it's hard to stay strong and to keep our resolve. And if the pandemic wasn't enough, as you all already all aware, and I'm sure you've already talked about this too, we have all these issues in the news, things that are happening. There's violence and hatred towards the Asian community. And most recently too, in the several past weeks, there have been terrible, horrible shootings as well that have been going on. So with all this happening in our lives, sometimes as Buddhists, we sit back, we take a step back and we say, are we even making any progress as a people, as a human race, as human beings? Are we even getting better? Are we evolving? Are we learning? And sometimes you get a little disheartened and it feels like you're not. But I want us to really embrace and really acknowledge the fact that we are evolving, and it's through Dharma gatherings such as this. It's through the sharing of the Dharma that we know in our hearts we are evolving as a people. We are sharing the knowledge. We are sharing the teachings. And so with all of this difficulty happening in the world and hardships and challenges, how can we as Buddhists even feel grateful? And this is what Reverend Candace alluded to when she introduced the teaching of Donna, this how to show and express your gratitude. But with all this happening in our world today, how can we be grateful? It seems like such a big challenge. But this is the essence of our Buddhist teaching and our Buddhist practice, because it's easy to feel grateful when everything is going your way. It's easy to feel grateful when someone's buying you a brand new iPhone 15 or whatever the iPhones are on now. I don't have an iPhone, but it's easy to feel grateful when someone gives you a special gift, right? or gives you something, that's not what Buddhism's here to teach us about. Buddhism is here to teach us about real Buddhist gratitude, because that gratitude comes from a different place altogether. You know, real gratitude transcends material possessions and things and objects, right? Real gratitude is a deep, deep feeling that is almost impossible to describe in words, right? You just know it when you feel it in the core of who you are. And gratitude is important because when we are able to experience true gratitude in our lives, when we truly feel grateful and feel that gratitude, in that moment, you're not thinking about yourself, are you? When you feel true, deep, pure gratitude, you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about outwardly from yourself, all the other things that are not about you and what you want. You're just being grateful. You're being at peace. And that's what this Donna Day is all about. So as many of you know, I'm sure, Donna is, do you know what Donna is? It's one of the 6 paramitas, right? And my understanding of the paramitas, we have heard that 6 paramitas are like the 6 perfections. I've also heard it taught as the 6 practices. And these are the practices that we try to practice and learn and engage in to help take us from this place of suffering in our everyday human lives, to take us from this place of suffering and to take us kind of to a higher state of awareness and understanding, to take us from this samsara life of endless suffering into a place of gratitude and understanding and awakening. So that's what these 6 practices are. And Dana is the first. And I think it's really important when Sensei Candace described Dana as it's not just giving, it is selfless giving. So I'm going to tell you a couple. I have 3 stories, and I apologize they're long, but I'm excited to be here. So I got to tell you my stories. Okay. So here are my Donna stories. Okay. So first story. For those of you that know, I'm from Sacramento, and we all know I-5, right? We all drive on I-5, Highway 5. And when you come from our neighborhood, we all go down I-5, and I was driving, and I was ended up behind a person that was driving. And I don't mean to be stereotypical in any of my stories, so please don't take offense at any of these things. This is just how it happened. Okay, so I was following someone in a Toyota Camry, happened to be a Asian lady in a Toyota Camry. Yeah, never seen that before. I know it's a rare thing, but and I was following her. And as I got closer, I noticed, and this is an older Camry. You remember how you used to keep all your keys on that key ring? Giant key ring, this chain, and it just had a bunch of keys on it. She had her keys sticking in the trunk keyhole, and all the keys are hanging out and I'm following. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I said, you know what? Not to be stereotypical, but I pretty much am sure that this person is driving to the temple. You know, it was an older, it happened to be Asian lady. And so I took it upon myself. I said, you know what? I'll follow her. I was kind of headed that way anyway, so it's not like I went out of my way. So I followed her. Sure enough, she got up on the temple exit, turned into the parking lot, and I parked far away because I didn't want to scare her. And this was all pre-COVID. This is years and years ago. So I went to the front of her car as she was unbuckling her seatbelt. I went to the front so she could see me, and I was like, hi. And she's like, what do you want from me? I don't want to buy anything from you, strange man. Get away from me. And I was like, hi. And I went, oh, wait right there. And I ran to her trunk, pulled out her giant ring of keys, and I went to the front of her window, and she rolled down the window, and I handed her the keys. And I was so proud, like, oh gosh, what a nice guy, right? Oh, how thoughtful. I am so nice. And at the time, as I handed her the keys, she goes, oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. She didn't even talk like that. I don't know why I did that voice. Anyway, she says, thank you very much. And then I gave her a business card to my restaurant. I went, no problem. And I handed her a business card and I left. What? Why did I give her a business card? That is a Donna fail. Okay. I'm sitting here so proud of myself that I did this great good deed that I wanted to give her my business card so she could tell all her friends about the nice restaurant owner that followed her over here and gave her keys out of her trunk. That's not Donna. That's selfish. That is self-motivated. Don't get me wrong. It was still an act of kindness, so we're not going to write it off as a complete failure. However, that's not what Donna is. And apparently, this lesson is hard for me to learn because it happens to me over and over again in my life. So, story number two, after school, we'd often go to Baskin Robbins, right, to get ice cream. So, I was there with my daughter and I went inside. And in front of us in line, there was a very young girl, looked to be about second grade at the most. And there was nobody else in the store. And I'm like, I wonder where her parents are, or guardians, or caretakers. And I looked out the front window and I saw a person in a car talking on their phone, and nobody else is around. So I go, oh, I bet you that's this little girl's parent. I'm sure that's who it is. And she's kind of talking on the phone, kind of looking, but not really paying attention. And as I'm watching this small child try to pay for their ice cream, it was probably like $1. They're getting a single soft serve. And of course, there's what? There's tax, there's sales tax, right? So even if it's 99 cents, so she's holding out the dollar to the Baskin Robbins, and Baskin Robbins employee's like, yeah, that'll be $1.07. That's $1.07. And the girl's like, eh? That's $1. My mom gave me $1. Yeah, that'll be $1.07. And she's holding the ice cream, the employee, and the kids all dollar ice cream, dollar ice cream, and they're like, it's $1.07. And I'm looking at this mom outside the window, and I'm like, are you not watching this? What is going on? In my wonderful goodness and generosity and devout Buddhist nature, I shall help this little girl because I'm so nice. And as I reached in my pocket for a quarter, I dramatically went like this to make sure the mom out the window saw me. I'm like, oh, here's a quarter. Here comes the quarter for your daughter that's in need. Here you go. I spent so long doing that the ice cream melted by the time I gave the clerk the quarter. It's a quarter. And even in that moment, I still wanted credit. And as the girl got her ice cream and she ran back to her mom, I was looking out the window, so proud of myself. So nice. What a good deed. Waiting for the mother, waiting for the girl to tell her mother what happened. There was a really nice man, and I only had $1, and the clerk kept saying $1.07, and he gave me the quarter, and he helped pay for my ice cream. And the mom and the daughter would look at each other, they would smile, and they would wave, and they would go like this, and they would smile at me, right? And instead, the girl jumped in the car, licked her ice cream, buckled her seatbelt, took off. And I was so disappointed, like, how dare you, ungrateful, not acknowledge my wonderful act of kindness. Again, Donna fail. Okay. So these stories keep happening and happening. And as if I haven't illustrated the point enough, here's my last story. I know I'm overdoing it here, but this was at the Sacramento airport when I was picking up some of the kids for a youth retreat. And as always, you got to get there early, make sure you get there. And it was empty. So I was sitting on these chairs, and it was in that whole empty area before you get your luggage, and nobody was around. And there was a lady walking with her luggage. And oh man, she just took a spill on the floor. She just ate it. She was just walking, and she just fell on the floor. Boom. And I was like, ooh. And I ran over there to help her. And when I said, ma'am, may I, can I give you a hand? May I offer you some assistance? She just looked at me and she just held her hand up like this. And I was so offended. I don't know why. Isn't that funny how you can be offended by something that has nothing to do with you, but I took offense at that. My mind went a million miles an hour. And part of it was because I'm obviously Asian, and she was not of Asian ethnic background. And in that moment, I felt that there was something going on with that. And I took offense at that. And I made so many false assumptions about that. And so I left and I walked away, and I was like, I hope you stay on the ground then. Fine. I mean, why would you think that? What is wrong with me? Because again, in my mind, I wanted to go up there. I wanted to feel her gratitude. Thank you so much, young man. You saved my day, And instead, I got this completely unexpected response from her. And then I added my own fears and paranoia about racism. I just made it into such a bigger issue than it was. Within a couple minutes, some airport employees came and they helped her up off the ground. And, she went about her way. But I found it so interesting that, again, we are trying to express this feeling of Dana. And that's what it means. That's why the important part for me about the word Dana is giving. That's the definition of it. But the important part for me is the selfless part. So this is what it means for us to change our mindset. We have to change our attitudes, right? And we can't expect something. We can't even expect the world to change. We can't even expect the world to align with how we think and the things that we believe. Okay. So we have to adjust our view and adjust our way of surviving. And I think that's the really big lesson here. And Dana and gratitude are so linked, right? They're so linked because if you are giving selflessly, it comes from this sense of gratitude, I believe, right? If you are able to give selflessly without expectation, without wanting acknowledgement, that's because you're coming from a place of true and pure and sincere gratitude. So these things are all connected and they're all linked. And that's why it is such an important thing. And so I guess I challenge all of you during this great time of suffering. Although we are all hoping that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, we are all hoping that we are emerging out of this pandemic, right? We're all hoping we're emerging out of this difficult time. Of course, we hope that. But just in case that our expectations are not met in the way that we imagined it would be, let's all try to remember that no matter how much we are in pain, no matter how much we are suffering, no matter how much we have lost, let us as Buddhists focus on all the things that we have to be grateful for. As difficult as it is to learn how to use Zoom, it's hard to use Zoom. It's hard to unmute yourself and mute and all that. But how fortunate are we to have this technology today? If this was 20 years ago, we wouldn't even be able to meet like this. And here I am, I can see your faces. This is beautiful to me. This is so beautiful to me that I can just see everybody's faces and I can feel your energy even through this screen. So we are very fortunate. We still have roofs over our head. We still have food in our stomachs. We have clean water to drink. Remember at the time, just a year ago, when California was on fire, how often are you grateful for the air that you breathe? Even the air that you breathe. We don't think about the air that we breathe. We never talk about the air. But now that the skies are blue and pure, even that we are so eternally grateful for. So let us continue to practice the spirit of Dana. And most importantly, let's give this Dana to one another. And let's focus our positive energy on others, because that will help bring us all more peace and understanding. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Sensei, for your very always very informative and down to earth, but very impactful Dharma message. I always appreciate, of course, all of your personal stories and how it relates. Very comical, but to address some of these very pressing things that are going on, I think in not only our temples but outside with the pandemic, and to really, like you said, really reflect upon our own gratitude. So I think it was a very fitting Dharma message for us to just really reflect on our gratitude, despite everything that's going on around us as well. So I'm so grateful for you, and for you joining us today, and I'm sure everybody else feels very, very fortunate to be able to hear your Dharma message today. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, so we'll continue on. And Darlene had just mentioned, thank you for keeping it real. Thank you, Darlene. I wanted to go ahead and share screen so that we can kind of finish up on our oops. Okay. One last thing that I wanted to do was to go over this recitation of the Jodo Shinshu Creed number 2. And I don't recall actually doing this recitation very often growing up here, but I wanted to introduce it to our Sangha just as a reminder of what we want to do as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists and the foundation of our lives. So please join me in Gasho as we read the Jodo Shinshu Creed number 2. I affirm my faith in Amida's infinite wisdom and compassion. Reciting the sacred name, I shall live with strength and joy. I shall look to Amida's guiding light. As I reflect upon my imperfect self, I live with gratitude for the perfect compassion which surrounds me at all times. I shall follow Amida's teachings. I shall understand the right path and resolve to spread the true teachings. I rejoice in Amida's wisdom and compassion. I shall respect and help my fellow beings and work for the good of my community. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 So thank you for reciting the Jodo Shinshu Creed with me. So at this time, this is actually the end of our service, and I wanted to end with a few announcements and, of course, my words of appreciation. So, of course, I wanted to thank Koichi Sensei for joining us for this very special Donna Day service for the Stockton BWA. Always want to express my appreciation to Charlie and Darlene Bagshaw for your assistance with Zoom. And as Koichi Sensei mentioned, how fortunate we are to still be able to meet in this fashion compared to not being able to meet at all. So thank you for your support in Zoom. Also Tad Shibata for his assistance with the flower arrangements and the altar as well. And thank you to all of our members who are joining us this afternoon. We have a few announcements. Please join us for April 11th for our virtual Hanamatsuri service at 10 a.m. And our guest speaker is Reverend Koho Takata from the West Los Angeles Buddhist Temple, and he'll be joining us via Zoom. Keep saving your box tops so that we can support our local schools. And those can be brought in when we finally reopen. And as I mentioned before, thank you so much for your continued support of the temple and our services. And we really appreciate your donations to help us to continue to be able to do these activities. And remember that we can accept your kind donations either through the mail or on our website, on our donation page of our website. So thank you so much in advance for your consideration. If you are collecting bottles and cans for the Sangha Club, that's our 7th and 8th graders for their fundraising, those can be accepted underneath the carport here at the temple as well. Okay, are there any other announcements from the BWA?
Sensei, can we just as a reminder, after the Hanamatsuri service, the students of the Dharma School will have a presentation. So we hope you'll stay on and listen in for that. And there will be a raffle at the end of that presentation. So please stay on. The kids are writing poetry for you. So we hope you'll support that. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you for the reminder, Darlene. I appreciate that. Yeah, because usually for Hanamatsuri, they have like a program, and unfortunately, we're not able to do that. So the children are working very hard to still manage all of their schoolwork from school, but also doing distance learning for Dharma school. So please stay on and support them after the Hanamatsuri service. Okay. So thank you all again for joining us this morning until the afternoon. And taking time out of your busy schedules to really observe this special service of Donna Day. And continue to stay healthy and well. And we look forward to being able to see you in person when it's safe to do so. So until then, please take very good care. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll go ahead and turn off the recording. And then if you'd like to stay on to say hello to everybody, please do so.